Hello, beautiful, beloved, sacred community. Ah, what a ride. I'm not sure if this is going to make it to public or not, um, but it was important to share what all has been going on this past year in the collective, as well as my own personal journey, um, because it's important to share what is happening in order to create an opportunity for others to step into what's coming up for them as well. And I usually keep a lot of my life private. Um, mm, but the journey I have been on is also a collective story. So that's where the archetypes have come from. The part of the sacred feminine, archetypes for the age of light has been my journey. It's been the journey of the awakening feminine, and embodying the spirit. And I wasn't sure where that was going to take me. It started recognizing that I was a light seed, that I was a star seed, a light worker, um, born into this world as a light worker. Rebecca Campbell talks about the two different types of light workers, ones that are born into it and ones that are what she calls, I believe, new light workers, where there may have been some sort of trauma or accident or something that kind of wakes you up, into those gifts and ways of being. I've always known that I was different, very empathic, compassionate, um, feel all the feels, and really therapy is what felt like the best match for that, thinking that all therapists were light workers and all light workers were therapists, but that is not the case. And really that started back in a 2017 journey for me when that word first came through and I had to figure out what a light worker was. I was at like my first chakra retreat, which really changed my pathway. Um, at the same time, my daughter was really, she came into this world with her gifts intact. So trying to keep up with her really was my opening of my spiritual closet as well for what I was doing in a clinical practice. I was doing all these things in my own, in my private, life, oracle readings and connecting in with myself as a divine channel, but not really sharing that. Where am I going with this? Archetypes. Yeah. So through this process, recognizing these archetypes that were coming up into my world were because I was on this initiation of the temple path, of the path of the priestess, of remembering and reclaiming the spiritual self, the goddess presence that had been missing in my religious upbringing and my community, and really within the planet and within the world. This is the collective story to bring goddess, to bring the feminine back into balance. And it's not about overtaking or dominating. It is about balance and harmony and unity, that union, that sacred union consciousness, that unity consciousness with the and both. Um, and it has been so one sided. The pendulum has been so one sided for so long with our lens and our generational upbringing where we have been separated from the feminine. And the feminine is our nurturing, our compassionate, our creative, our intuitive, our connection to the body, our connection to the planet, the flow, the fluidity, right? Compared to the outcome and the action and the go, go, go and the do, do, do. And the logic and the, the head versus the heart. And we need the and both, right? We need the psychological and the spiritual, the sun and the moon. And these are just energies within us all. The feminine and the masculine are energies within us all. The divine is within us all, and the wounded is within us all. The shadow and the light. That is the divine feminine awakening, is honoring the and both. And recognizing ourselves as healers, which was the divine alchemist when they came through for me, the self-healer. We are all healers, that we are able to alchemize, that we are able to quantum heal, that we are able to move through our ancestral timeline to heal these wounds and stories that have separated these aspects or parts of ourself from our wholeness, seeing ourselves as aligned with the divine within us, within, versus something outside of ourselves. And recognizing that this is the priestess path, the awakened feminine, that we are all going through this awakening of the feminine consciousness in order to really hold and support this next part, which is what's been happening this past year, is the consciousness, the Christ consciousness, the masculine, the divine masculine consciousness, which is bringing up the masculine wounds, right? So the work and the shadow work that's been happening with the feminine, and that process is now holding a container to heal the wounds of the masculine within. But what is within is also out. And so that shows up in our community and our collective globally, of those wounds. And so that is what we're really conscious of. And this is kind of coming in waves. So some people have been on this divine feminine awakening for a while, for some since 2017 or earlier. But really, this journey is about coming back to wholeness. And for some, they are what could be called primary feminine, which having more of that feminine energy, connection to the feminine, or there could be some that are more resonate with primary masculine. Really, it's just finding the balance. The masculine are finding their feminine balance, the feminine are finding their masculine balance. Again, all within first, right? And if it shows up in our external world, it's not till we've done that fullness of that work. And those that are on the high priestess path may also connect to what is called the sacred union or the twin flame journey. And twin flame is getting a lot of really funky energy, and the really the dark side of it is what I've noticed in the Netflix series, all those kind of things that are going on. But the idea of a soul counterpart, right? Someone that really isn't here as an activation. And there are those that are on this path that are our activators. And this whole past year, I have been going through a divorce, been living under the same roof, co-parenting, but, recognizing when the time has now come to really separate and be on these individual paths to continue to move forward. But before that, there was a awareness that there was a completed soul contract in my marriage, that there was a completion that had served the purpose it needed to, was a 19-year marriage that yeah, was a part of my journey. But knowing that there was um, another book, not even a chapter, another book to what was next. And last year, I was activated by my twin flame that showed up in a very surprising way. And the experience is like nothing that can ever be described. It's beyond anything that we have been taught about connection, relationship, love. And, you know, when the twin flame journey happens, it is an awakening, an activation, and it's not about the outcome. It's not about the physical outcome. And most of the time, the soul counterpart is not aware or not ready, which is definitely what's happening in this collective, that there is not um, the physical union and the 3D that is at that vibrational level where these counterparts are coming together to to create in the 3D world. However, this journey is about the activation. This journey is about what it awakens within you, what it awakened within me, was a returning back to self-love, was a returning to healing and working on the wounds and the shadow parts that had to do with being rejected, abandonment, feeling not worthy enough, all the spaces and places and dark, deep corners of not feeling of value and not feeling of worth, and every single possible part and piece of myself that could be unlovable or someone else might find unlovable, or why they wouldn't want to be with me, or why I wouldn't be worthy enough to be with them. Like, I had to explore every single one of those corners in order to come back to self love, love without condition, love without dependency of trying to find that value and worth through someone else, through someone else's eyes, through someone else's validation, through someone else's stroke of my ego, in order to tell me the things I needed to hear, make me feel the way I needed to feel. I had to go inside and find that shit for myself. That is the union path. That is the true twin flame path, is that is what that work makes you do. That is what that activation makes you do. There is a soul lineage, obviously, to this flame. And that all comes up too. So not only are you doing soul work on those relationships of that counterpart that you held in past life, but you are also healing the ancestral wounds that you have, that we have inherited on love with condition, like love only under certain terms or with strings attached, or um, yeah, all those fears. And it is through the gift of receiving, through the gift of receiving, to fully receive, right, is its own healing process. When we open and allow, we open ourselves up. First, you've got to feel safe in order to open yourself up. And once you do, once that opening and that trust has settled in, then you can begin to open up that heart space to trust, to receive. And there's so many reasons why we don't and can't do that, right? And especially if we've been the overgiver, the overdoer, the pleaser, those stories can come back. Like, what especially if someone is giving to you. What can I do back? Right? What can I do? What can I give? Just to allow and receive can be one of the hardest lessons of this journey, right? Feeling deserving of what's given to you to receive, feeling of value, allowing without feeling like you need to do something to give back, right? It's a beautiful lesson, but it's also really, really difficult to receive, to just receive, especially when there's those wounds, those trauma wounds. But it's through this process of returning to the wounds of love, the wounds of value and worth. These are those next archetypes that are coming through as the masculine is awakening, right? As we are connecting into our wing energy. It's the serpent that now then is ascending to connect into this winged energy of the dove, to connect into the cosmic, to bring cosmic to earth, is to embody soul, is to bring soul in and within, and recognize that that is the divine human in that form. And if we don't have the container, the spiritual container, there is no place for the soul to go. So the first part of that step is to awaken the feminine, is to connect into that spiritual container, that grounded container, connected into Mother Earth, connected into the body, connected into our creative, intuitive channel, to hold, to have a place for soul to embody. That is the path. That is evolution. That is releasing the limiting beliefs around who we are, how we see ourselves, what our purpose is. Yeah, and the conditions and the limits that have been put around the wholeness of the divine and the human, of what it truly means to be human. So that spiritual journey is coming back to yourself. And those archetypes of the age of light are so different with the feminine energies, the lunar energies, the yin energies, connecting back, healing those mother wounds. And then as those are anchored in that high priestess, and high priestess is the one who can hold the shadow and the light. The high priestess is the one who can speak her truth from a heart-centered place, and the wisdom, right, of being a channel connected to our higher self, and allow it to move out, to be heard, allow it to move out in a way that's not, that's not mindless, right? That's very intentionally spoken and heard. And the high priestess is the way shower, the wise one, also known as the crone energy, right? But the wise one who connects into wisdom, connects into her heart center, is connected into her feminine crown, her root to Mother Earth, to those life source energies that connect her into her creative, energetic womb space, and her intuitive knowing and trusting that on this path. So they're the activators. They're the way showers. They're the light workers. They're the ones that do things a different way. The sparkly unicorns, the ones that you know, have that story of not belonging, have a difficulty feeling where home is, are a lot of the times planted in families and communities that may be denser and heavier and hold a lot of, you know, lower vibrational energy or more difficult or challenging energy or trauma, um, in order to see the light. And these communities are coming back together. These communities are, the sisterhood is awakening so that we can come back together and hold more light together, and the brotherhood of light, right? And there are wounds on both sides of those stories of feeling safe in a community that can do that. That is collaboration and not competition. That is releasing those stories. Ooh, feeling that in the higher heart. Yeah, because we do have those wounds around betrayal, around yeah, the witch wounds, right? The sisterhood wounds, where we can celebrate each other, where we can um lift each other up, where we can collaborate and not compete. um that's needing to come back. And men, men's groups are working on their healing their own stories, where to feeling safe, to allow each other to be held, um, to allow their emotions to be seen. And that only comes through the feminine awakening, when we can hold ourselves with gentleness, with nurturing, with compassion, with unconditional love. And we can do that for our feminine wounds, but it takes, I feel, even more to do that for our masculine wounds. Um, So those archetypes have been showing up this past year, of that fire energy, which is the beautiful balance to the water, and supporting this whole journey of coming back to wholeness, of coming back to union, of coming back to mm, just empowerment, embodiment of the and both, of the unity consciousness, of the sacred union and masculine, right? Of seeing sacred, of bringing sacred back. I love saying it in that way, of bringing sacred back to how we see ourselves, how we see our relationships, and how we see the planet, because that is how we heal and evolve. Mm. Whew, yeah. So please give me a comment. I may decide to post this. So please give me a comment below if you are resonating with this, if you are finding yourself, if this is a path that you are finding yourself on, where have been so many shifts and changes, um, especially since COVID, especially since 2020, but really coming back to this beginning of 2017, where for a lot of us, this journey started, this awakening started, and it could have been before that even too. But that feels like it was kind of one of the bigger pushes for the divine feminine awakening. And finding yourself on the temple path, finding yourself on the high priestess path, maybe even not knowing that that's what it was, but knowing that you needed to heal your wounds, that you needed to do your shadow work, that you needed to, that there was a purpose, a higher purpose, and it had something to do with your own journey. And, as a light worker, I just get the word energetic tool, as a channel for the light, we are a channel of frequency, of energy, of vibration, and truth, and truth, and authenticity. And sometimes those can be the biggest challenges. And right now, on the sacred union path, those that resonate more with primary feminine, on the feminine, divine feminine, those that resonate more as a divine feminine, have found themselves really working hard on their path, really working hard on returning to self-love, really working hard on that wholeness, on working through those shadowy wounds of the feminine and currently on the masculine. And the those that resonate more with the divine masculine tend to still be going through those karmic relationships. They tend to still be choosing to not quite be diving into the work. And that's okay. Everybody is on their own path, on their own journey, divine timing. But I would just want to connect to the feminine. If you're watching this, you probably resonate more as a divine feminine than a divine masculine. Your sacred unions may be showing up in ways that are going to really surprise you. They're supposed to. They're supposed to, because the unions are reincarnating in this lifetime in ways that are going to, they're bigger. It's bigger than just a relationship. It's bigger than just a romantic relationship. It is about what is going to help heal and evolve the planet. So it's going to challenge stereotypes. These unions are going to challenge stereotypes. It's going to challenge gender stereotypes. It's going to challenge cultural stereotypes. It's going to show up in age stereotypes. It's really going to challenge what's needing to heal within the family lineage, within the community, within the culture, within the society, in order to hold new spaces and places for growth and releasing, to really bring in a new world, a new paradigm. Yeah. But here's the thing, the feminine, if their soul counterparts are not showing up, if they are, and ever since I've found myself on this path, before I found myself on this path, I was, clients were finding me who were finding themselves on this journey. So it was almost like I knew this was coming, but I didn't know the package it was coming in. I didn't know when it was coming. I just felt something was coming. And the bigger picture I got was when I was in Hawaii, 2 years ago. And I kept getting this twin flame energy in Hawaii. And Hawaii has an ancient civilization relationship with Lemuria, also known as Mu. And Lemuria holds the codes, the ancient feminine, divine feminine codes. They were the ancient feminines. And then on the other side of the US, the Atlantic side of the ocean is where the Atlantis had a lot of energy and frequency and vibration to. And Atlantis was the ancient civilization that was during the same time as Lemuria, that held the divine masculine codes, the divine masculine energy and frequency. And it's like these were our two original unions, our two original energy centers that held these frequencies, the vibrations that's within all of us. Almost like you could think of them like codes of creation. Or the first almost separateness, because before them there was just unity. And that is almost what we're returning to. And those stories and reincarnations have to do with when we were in those energy centers and finding the balance to the and both, to the masculine and the feminine that is within all of us, that's beyond gender. This is spiritual, this is energetic, and this is within us all. And we may, like I said, we may resonate with one primary energy over the other, but it is within this lifetime that we are meant to find our balance within. And as we find our balance within, then we start to find that balance within our relationships, within the planet. It will start to show up in the 3D world. And that is because we are calling that in. We are calling in our abundance. We are calling in our pleasure. We are calling in our high level soulmates. So even if that twin flame union, that twin flame journey is not showing up, is not meeting you at your same vibrational level, it's because they have other lessons to learn. They found themselves working through and continuing to work through karmic relationships that they still feel attached to, that they still have to do the work to, in order to go back in and do that work. And in that meantime, you have a choice. The universe has made it very clear, and my guides have made this very clear, that there's choice, right? That the universe is not going to leave us hanging. And I'm on this journey with you, that there's high level energy, high level soulmate that is moving in, that is going to be, yeah, that energy that's going to meet you at all the hard work you've done, right? That's going to meet you where you deserve to be held. That's going to meet you in your most abundant golden timeline. And honoring and having gratitude for the relationship, for the experience of the sacred union timeline, right? Is something you called in, is something they called in, was a contract that you have with that person. And regardless if that was something that ever went into an actual physical relationship or not, it still held the purpose. It still held the purpose to get you to where you are, to do the work that you had to do in order to dissolve those other timelines, so that you are fully aligned with your highest purpose, with your highest potential and abundance, in order to really be that seed of light, to really anchor in those new codes. And it does not need anything else. It does not need anything else. That you are still able to do everything you needed to do. And it's not about the end outcome with that union. Yeah, I mean, eventually everybody will get to where they need to go, but it is the activation that is the key, not the end outcome. Okay, so finding yourself on this sacred journey, finding yourself with your loved ones, your soul tribe, your soul family, right? And that allows you to really shine your brightest light, that you are and feel held and safe and supported. That is who's showing up for you. That is who is your anchor, right? As you are their anchor, in your wholeness, in your fullness, in your completeness. This is not just half of a human connecting into another half of a human, but it's a full self, holding space for other full selves. Okay. I think that's a beautiful place to end with that channeling. the energies are really coming through with the swans, finding that frequency, and the cats. And it's all in balance, right? It was Bast or Basat and Sequent. It came up before and after the eclipse. It's been the serpent and the swan. It's been the heron and the koi fish. Um, it's been all these divine energies and signs of balance. So it really feels like this is where we're at. We're moving forward at this time. There's still kind of this pullback with Mercury retrograde, kind of going over the past, maybe people from the past pulling at you, but really listening and standing in your own light and your power of your value and worth and all the fucking hard work that you have done and continuing to keep yourself there and your light there. And I think as I said, I was going through a lot this past year. I took almost everything off my plate that I possibly could, and I'm still continuing to move through the new changes and new beginnings, moves, all the things. But I'm really feeling called to come back to what I started in 2017, which was when I first launched the Lit from Within community, the online community, the Facebook community. And it's grown and evolved. And at the same time, it's, I feel like, yeah, it's ready for a fresh start. So I am looking at coming back to those communities, either online or in person, that are really being called to hold space for right now. Yeah, and even the mystery school, archetype classes and courses, and allowing space for those to come back online and holding that divine feminine anchor feels so needed right now. And that those that find themselves on this high priestess path or sacred union path or spiritual awakening, finding themselves as the star seed way shower, activator, then this is who this community is really going to resonate with. So, all right, beautiful beings. If you'd like more information, ways to connect with me, if I post this, it will be listed below. If not, you can message me if this ends up in one of my private groups. Or, yeah, looking forward to continuing to connect with you more on this evolutionary path with love and light. Mm.